Sports Houston is brought to you by Bud Light, by the Ford F-150, by the Progressive Insurance Group, and by Jack in the Box. On a cloudy Saturday night in downtown Houston, it's the Phillies and the Astros. They've played a lot of interesting September games over the last few years. Phillies opened the night 7.5 games in front in the NL East. Here is their starting lineup for Charlie Manuel, brought to you by AT&T. It's Shane Victorino leading off in center field. Jason Worth is the right fielder. Jimmy Rollins batting third for the first time this season. He's at shortstop. Ryan Howard is the slugging first baseman. Batting cleanup, followed by Raul Ibanez in left field. Pedro Feliz at third base. Miguel Cairo at second base. Paul Bacco, the catcher, hitting eighth. Joe Blanton is the pitcher.
Roy, a winner last time out in Chicago, worked 7 innings of 2-run ball, and that one in his career against the Phillies, very good. 6-1, 3.28 ERA for 8 starts. He's won his last 6 decisions against the Phillies. 1-0 last year with a 4.15 against the Phils in 2 starts.
Victorino goes for that one and falls behind 0-2 in the count. This is the 14th time he has led off this season. .299 for Shane, 9 homers, 55 driven in. And he flicks that one foul. Last night, the Phillies were blanked on 8 hits by Wandy Rodriguez, Tim Burdack, and Doug Brocail. Rollins led off in that game, and Victorino batted second. Shane had a double in 4 trips last night. And he hits a curveball on the ground. There's a diving Big Puma. And that's out number 1.
It was a controlled dive by the Big Puma. Like he started to go down, and wait a minute, I don't want to go too soon. Dive, dive, dive. Whoop, whoop. And then up to his feet and a good lead into the bag.
Well, you're right. Not exactly a headlong dive, but made the play nicely from 3-1. And Jason Worth will follow. Worth with 30 home runs has driven in 80. Also has 25 doubles this season while hitting .270 with a good on base average. Middle infielders are pinching toward the bag. There's strike 1 on Worth.
That's where Roy prefers the middle infielders to play. He'd rather give up the holes than the middle.
It's 1-1 to Jason. He had 1 hit and 4 at-bats last night, batting 5th. He whiffed 3 times in the game. Wandy Rodriguez struck out 7 in 7 innings. Tim Burdack had a couple of Ks on his card. And the Phillies were blanked for only the 6th time this year. Good fastball makes it a 1-2 count. We talked about Roy and his excellent numbers, JD. 6 consecutive wins for Roy against this Phillies ball club, and a 3.28 career ERA against the Phils.
And Roy 8-5 for the year. It's been kind of a bizarre year for him. He'd get on a little bit of a roll and then have a bad start or two. The back acted up, got in his way as he was really on a nice roll. But throwing the ball well again, last 3 times out, he's pitched well.
And the fastball gets him a strikeout. Roy has the best career ERA at home of any active pitcher and the best winning percentage at home.
Climbs the ladder with a fastball there, and Worth with a tardy swing. Defensively, the Astros, Lee, Bourne, and Pence cover the outfield, as is the norm. Infield has Blum and Tejada on the left side. Right side features Matsui and the aforementioned diving Puma. Chris Coast, the former Philly, doing the catching. That should play to Roy's advantage. Coast obviously knows the strengths and weaknesses of his former mates.
Now Jimmy Rollins looks at a curve high for ball 1. Rollins at 244, not much of an average for him, but he's come a long way the last 6 weeks or so. This curveball's popped up. Coast off with the mask for a 1-2-3 first for the Wizards. Headed for the mound, Joe Blanton. Phillies nothing. Houston coming up against Joe Blanton with his starting lineup with Cecil Cooper, whose club is 64 and 70. Michael Bourne in center field. Kazuo Matsui second base. Lance Berkman first base. Carlos Lee left field. Miguel Tejada shortstop. Hunter Pence big night last night in right field. Jeff Blum third base. Chris Coast catcher. Roy Oswalt pitcher.
Big Joe Blanton, 6'3", about 250, takes the hill for the Phillies. Last 10 starts, he's been very, very good. 5-2, 2.14, one of the top 10 ERAs in the National League since the All-Star break for Blanton. Fastball, slider, changeup, cutter.
Strike to Michael Bourne, former Philly. 295, 3 homers, 32 driven in for Michael. It's no balls, 2 strikes. Michael in the first game of the series last night got a single in the 8th inning. Was hit by a pitch in the 6th. 1 for 4 in the series opener. Big E Elvin Hayes was chatting around the batting cage with Michael.
He's here with the other Big E, Enos Cabell.
They were doing some trash talking about Michael's basketball days. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Let's see, the Cougars are playing. There's Elvin Hayes. Ed Wade, yeah. They're having a good time.
Another E, Ed Wade. They got the killer E's there.
His hand covered Ed's entire shoulder. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bourne slashes 1 foul. The Cougars are playing football tonight, I believe, Katie.
Well, I think they are, because when I was driving in, I saw a sign that said, take the Cullen Street exit if you're going to the UH football game.
Exactly. Bourne fouls it.
Playing at Northwestern State. It's a team coached by Hayden Fox and Jerry Van Dyke.
Phillies went out 1-2-3. Now Michael Bourne battling with Blanton. And the Astros had a big inning last night on their way to that win. Ground ball into center field. Bourne with a single. They had a 4-run second last night. Bourne gets it started with that hit through the box. He's sitting on 49 steals.
Here are the Phillies defensively. Raul Ibanez in there in left field. Victorino very good in center. Worth with a good arm in right. Third base held down by Pedro Feliz. Jimmy Rollins probably wins a Gold Glove this year. The veteran Miguel Cairo at second. Ryan Howard at first. Paul Bacco, the veteran, is doing the catching. Former Astro, former a lot of things.
Kazuo Matsui is the batter. There goes Bourne. Steal number 50 for Michael Bourne, joining that exclusive club of Astros who have stolen 50 bases or more. He's the first one to do it since Craig Biggio stole 50 bases in 1998.
There's the break, and Blanton's quick to home plate. It's not on Joe Blanton.
Cesar Cedeno stole 50 or more 6 times with the Astros. Gerald Young is the all-time leader with 65 steals. Eric Yelding stole 64. Ground ball up the middle, backhanded. Here's the off-balance throw by Cairo, and out at first. Very good play by Cairo with Bourne taking third.
Wow, pretty play. Miguel Cairo is a good heady ball player. He has been for a long time. He's the type of guy you wouldn't be surprised to find him in a manager's seat someday. Doesn't get a lot on this throw, but he gets rid of it quickly enough and is able to get his man.
Ryan Howard with the play at first. Now it's Lance Berkman with Bourne at third and 1 out. 18 homers, 65 runs batted in, a 400 on base average, and Lance takes ball 1. 272 batting average for Lance. He singled in the first inning last night, going 1 for 4. He's going to be inducted into another Hall of Fame. Line drive up the middle, and there's a play by Rollins. Sliding catch of that liner behind second. For out number 2. He is quick.
Just a soft little pop here, and this ball gets down. Bourne would have been able to score, but Rollins closes in a hurry and puts it away.
Now 2 outs, and it's Carlos Lee, who belted home run number 23 last night, giving him 86 runs batted in with a .309 batting average. He also had a single and a 2-for-4 night last night.
Frustrating AB for Lance there. He knows with that infield back, just a routine ground ball gets Bourne home. A chance for Carlos to pick up the Puma.
Miguel Tejada's on deck. Blanton comes inside. It's 1-1. Blanton, 28 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee, went to the University of Kentucky. He was a first-round draft choice of the Oakland Athletics in 2002. Traded to the Phillies last year.
He earned 6 varsity letters in high school. He was born in Nashville and then went to school, grew up in a Bowling Green, Kentucky. A little tiny town, so he was earning varsity letters as a 7th grader.
He was the opening day starter for Oakland last season, traded to the Phillies during the year. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Last season he won 9, lost 12 with a 4.69 ERA.
And he's got very upright delivery, kind of a short stride that allows him to get on top and drive that ball downhill. That time he didn't. But for the most part, he's been able to do it.
Well, he gets Berkman and Lee with Bourne stranded at third. He was there with 1 out, and it's 0-0. ERA leaders at home. Wandy Rodriguez, top dog in the majors with a 1.60 home ERA. Ted Lilly is second. Tim Lincecum third. Adam Wainwright is fourth. Wandy now is 7th overall in ERA in the National League. He has started 6 of the Astros' 9 shutout wins this year.
Wandy at home, a pretty solid proposition. Matter of fact, in the last 3 seasons, he has a 2.50 ERA in this ballpark. That's the 2nd lowest in the majors, behind Jake Peavy's 2.43 at Petco Park. And you allow for the ballpark differential, I would argue that Wandy's #1 in the clubhouse.
Yeah. Jake's not pitching in Petco anymore, so it's going to be tough for him to maintain that at U.S. Cellular. Slow curveball to Ryan Howard. 2 balls, 1 strike to a 37 home run hitter with 113 runs batted in.
Keep an eye on Ryan Howard. Keep an eye on Pedro Feliz. Both have outstanding numbers against Roy.
Good. 3-1.
Boy, coming off that slow curveball, it's tough to get to that heater. Just a hair outside, apparently. And the change up in there on 3-1, working very quickly, using all of his pitches.
Howard 0 for 4 last night. There's a defensive shift. He takes a leadoff walk. That's his 60th walk. Another big man's a base runner for Raul Ibanez, who got a rest last night. Ibanez is 0 for his last 14. And going back further, 10 for 78 for a 128 batting average. He has only one homer in his last 113 at bats. He was out on the disabled list with a left groin strain from mid-June through July 10th. And he's not been able to recapture the early season form since the injury. He's hitting .209 since he came off the disabled list for 158 at bats. But nonetheless has 27 homers, 79 runs batted in.
An outstanding first half, made the All-Star team, was one of the great stories early in the season. He's lost his mojo.
Ben Francisco started in left field last night with Ibanez resting. Raul drafted by Seattle in '92 in the 36th round. Then he was a Kansas City Royal for a while, back to Seattle until they signed him as a free agent last winter. And he replaced Pat Burrell in left field. 1-2.
Boy, going with that slow curveball a lot here in the early going.
Ibanez is from Manhattan to Miami-Dade Community College South. Pops it up foul and into the crowd.
Yeah, his parents came from Cuba while his mom was pregnant for Raul. Born in Manhattan, moved to Miami. And a long major league career. Good, solid hitter. Good RBI man.
He was the first Philly to reach 20 home runs this season. He needed only 56 games to get there. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ibanez has not seen much of Astros pitching. 190 career hitter with 1 homer. And that came back in '01 off Dave Malicki at Kansas City. And now it's 3-2.
Roy's frustrated a couple of times now, not being able to get that outside corner call from Mike Winters.
Strike 3. Second strikeout for the Wizard.
Ibanez should have been hacking there under the theory that it's highly unlikely that Roy's going to walk 2 in a row.
Yeah. Good theory.
Walked 39 men all year. Tough pitch though, right on the knees.
Pedro Feliz follows. Feliz takes ball 1 with a .270 average, 9 homers, 64 runs batted in for the 33-year-old third baseman from the Dominican. Feliz 0 for 4 in last night's game. Curveball makes it 2-0.
And talk about Feliz and his success against Roy. 452, 14 for 31.
Those are imposing numbers.
Well, and Feliz, there's a number of hitters in the league that have good numbers against Roy, and they fit the same profile. Very aggressive hitters that go up there hacking, and that really plays well against Roy because he's so aggressive. He's not trying to nibble and tiptoe around you. Even though with some of these guys, he would be better served to do that. It just cuts against the grain for Roy. He doesn't want to nibble, doesn't want to pick. He likes to attack the zone.
Roller goes foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Feliz. Miguel Cairo's on deck.
Feliz hitting .270, but an on-base percentage of just .316. He's only walked 31 times this year. And over 500 plate appearances.
This is game 2 of a 4-game series. These teams will also play 4 in Philadelphia. Now 3-2. Third straight full count for Roy in this inning. Michael Bourne shades to left center. Pull through the left side. A single to left. And Feliz advances Howard to second. First and second, one out for Miguel Cairo now.
Sometimes past performance is predictive of future results. It's Roy's on the mound and the stock is Pedro Feliz. Bye.
Feliz with his 15th career hit and 32 at bats against the Wizards sets it up for Cairo. He's had 20 at bats with the Phillies and a 100 batting average.
That beard, it kind of reminds me of like the old the Gary Maddox era of Phillies. Amos Otis and facial hair those guys used to wear back in the day.
Yeah. Strike one to Cairo. You saw his defensive acumen earlier in the game with a good play to his right. Fly ball. Michael Bourne over into right center. Howard will hold at second. He wasn't even tagging. 2 outs. And it's Paul Bacco coming up next. One of the former Astros in this Phillies organization, and he is welcoming some friends over from Louisiana this series, he said last night. Paul, 37 years old. He played with Cincinnati last year. 200 batting average this season. 2 homers, 6 runs batted in for the backup catcher.
He's just played 27 games with the Phillies so far this year. Signed late in the season, signed to the minor leagues to get ready to go. It's a good piece on a veteran club if you got enough firepower and you can afford to carry a defensive catcher, kind of a player coach almost with all his experience.
He was an Astro back in '99, part of 2000.
Half shin guards will travel for Paul Bacco. Man, he left Houston, went to Florida, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Chicago, Dodgers, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia. He has not stayed with the same club in 2 consecutive seasons since 03-04 when he was a Cub. I mean, he's going to be the Kevin Bacon of baseball here pretty soon.
Paul's from Lafayette, Louisiana. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I was talking with him yesterday. He said he just loves this club. He said there are no prima donnas. He said it's a fun atmosphere in the clubhouse. Everybody, the nature of the clubhouse, people picking on each other, and nobody's immune, and nobody gets worked up about it. I think it all starts from the top with Charlie Manuel. That's his style. Stay relaxed, have some fun, play some hard-nosed baseball.
37 years old. All that experience on 3 playoff clubs. And a miss for Bacco. And that's the way the top of the second ends. A strikeout for the Wizard, his 3rd. No runs, a hit, 2 men stranded, no score.
Welcome back. We are scoreless. The Astros to bat at the bottom of the second. Tomorrow, 105 game. First 10,000 kids 15 years of age and under will receive an El Caballo Webkins courtesy of Kellogg's. Oh, man, you got to have that. Astros.com, the place to go for tickets to pick up your El Caballo Webkins if you're one of the first 10,000 here tomorrow afternoon.
That's an absolute must for a youngster right there. Miguel Tejada leads it off in a scoreless game. Bottom of the second inning. Joe Blanton brings it in for strike one. Tejada 298, 10 homers, 69 runs batted in for Miggy. 1 for 4 in last night's game. No balls, 2 strikes to Miggy. He has 1 homer and 3 hits in 11 at bats against Blanton. Yeah, they came a long way. From Rockford, Illinois, Paul Bykowski's former stomping grounds. Paul, did you help pay for their gas? He does not know them. No balls, 2 strikes.
Paul's our director.
And our best wishes go to our buddy Lowell Matheny tonight in Methodist Hospital awaiting surgery on Wednesday. Our thoughts and prayers will be with him, his wife Fern, and his family.
And Lowell is the radio engineer, so if you catch us, we a lot of times we'll get a shot of the radio booth. Lowell's up there working the board, but a bit of a setback. Surgery scheduled this week, so good luck, Lowell. Hang in there, buddy.
Mike the Loose Cannon's filling in, JD.
Yes. Cannon stepping in there for Lowell. Milo and Dave call the action.
Line to left field. And off the board. Played well by Ibanez to hold Tejada to a single. He hammered that one. Number 2 for the Astros, both leading off innings.
And Mickey has not centered up many balls lately. That had to feel awfully good. He torched this one. So much so that double wasn't an option. Quickly off that wall, right back to Ibanez. No chance to get 2 on this ball. Karen picks right back to him. A good strong throw in. Had Mickey thought about it, he would have been calling timeout there about 10 paces away from that tag.
Hunter Pence had quite a game last night. Single 2-run homer and a walk. Home run went to right field. He doesn't get too many there. There's strike 1 to Hunter. During his current 7-game hitting streak, he's hitting .391. Batting average up to .284. 21 homers, 61 driven in for Hunter. That one goes off his bat foul. Trying to get out of the way of it. And it's 0-2 to Hunter. The Astros got some hits off Cliff Lee that were not exactly squared up last night, but then they got some big hits later. Actually, the biggest of the night was by pitcher Wandy Rodriguez. Bases loaded, 3-2 count, 2-run double. Hit hard to right field.
Yeah, I love the story in the Chronicle David Barron wrote today. He referred to Wandy's at bat as a filibuster. And perfect. 10, 11 pitches. And then he won the battle.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Hunter. Blanton facing the Astros for the 2nd time in his career. He beat Chris Sampson here. Fly ball hit deep to right field again. Worth is back. Hunter Pence repeats that opposite field homer from last night. And again, it's a 2-run shot for Hunter. 2-0 Astros on his 22nd of the year.
Blanton can work effectively up in the strike zone, but from time to time he pays a price for it. That's the 26th home run he's allowed this year. Boy, Hunter, 2 nights in a row going the other way. He's strong enough. He doesn't have to pull. Some guys don't have enough power to go deep the other way. Hunter certainly does, and if he continues this approach, that will serve him very, very well.
Two to nothing lead. Now it's Jeff Blum batting. Looking at ball 1. There's last night's opposite field blast.
Deja vu all over again, Yogi.
Well, back 1-1 to Blummer, a .261 hitter with 9 homers, 45 runs batted in. And Sean Berry made the point of how effective Hunter was last night, hitting that home run to right field that you just saw. And he said sometimes he stays in that groove for a while, and it's good when he does continue to pound the ball to right field. Sometimes he then starts pulling off again, trying to pull the ball to left field. But if he stays locked in this way, it's going to be fun to watch him the next few days. Soft fly ball, shallow center field. Victorino, and it loops in for a hit for Blummer. He's on a 1-2 pitch. All 3 of these hits have come on 1-2 counts in this inning.
Line drive, single, home run. Now the blooper. You know, we talked a lot about the bloop and the blast. So we got the blast first, and now the bloop.
Comes aboard for the former Philly, Chris Coast. It was quite a story when he was a rookie at age 33 with Philadelphia. For all those years in the minor leagues, .227 for Chris, 2 homers, 17 runs batted in. Roy Oswalt's on deck. And his strike 1 to Coast, batting for the first time in his career against the Phillies. He made 69 starts at catcher for the Phils last season. His 3rd year with them. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Talked about Chris and how he could help Roy Oswalt because he knows the Philly hitter so well. Obviously, the Phillies know Chris Coast, so it will be interesting to see how they pitch him. It looks like in is the game plan. That makes sense because Chris dives a little bit. He drifts to cover the outside corner. Makes you a little vulnerable to a good inside fastball.
Blanton beat Chris Sampson here. It was in June of '07. Gave up 3 runs in 7 innings. He won the game 7-3. Tap foul off the end of the bat. Another 1-2 count for the 4th batter in a row for Blanton.
Well, if you've given up hits on 3 consecutive 1-2 pitches, don't you bounce this one? Or are you even aware of the fact that you've given up 3 consecutive hits on 1-2?
I don't know. And he gets a strikeout. Number 2 for Blanton.
He really pitched him well. Just a great lesson in pitching 101 there. Hard in, then slider away, and then back inside.
Coming up later in our Dodge Grab Live feature, we'll hear from Darren Erstad on his favorite TV show. 1 on, 1 out. Roy Oswalt the batter. Phillies have Feliz in tight. With Oswalt having 13 sacrifice bunts, he is 6 for 46 for a 130 batting average. This bunt goes toward the pitcher Blanton. And a little toss to Cairo covering, takes care of the sack. And 1-4, 2 outs. And Michael Bourne, who's done so well with men in scoring position, and 2 outs. We'll get a shot here. Michael singled up the middle in the 1st inning. Charlie Manuel talked in one of the articles about following the progress of Michael Bourne this year and what an improved player he's been. Getting those leg hits, bunt hits, chopping balls to the left side, beating them out. And he said if he keeps that up, he's really going to have a nice career. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Michael has walked 57 times this year. He was traded along with Jeff Geary and a minor leaguer, Brad Lidge and Eric Bruntlett, after the '07 season.
Good changeup.
2 balls and a strike for Blanton. With a major league record of 60 and 52.
Minor leaguer was Costanza, was that the name?
Yeah, Costanza.
Not George, but
no.
And he went to Baltimore in the trade.
Yeah.
And do we know how he's making it?
No.
Is he a prospect, a suspect?
He was a 3rd baseman and just haven't followed him this year, to be honest.
Tell you what, whenever that off-speed pitch, straight change or split finger, it's a heck of a weapon.
3-2 for Blanton. He's thrown 42 pitches. Last night, Wandy Rodriguez, when he hit that 2-run double, had a 10-pitch at bat in the second inning. That was a 4th straight hit allowed by Cliff Lee. Fouls it away, 3-2. Just a great job by the Astros hitters of collecting 9 hits and 6 runs in 3 innings off Lee, handing him his second loss. Not all the hits were well struck, but some were.
A combination of a little good fortune and some good hitting.
Bouncer back to Blanton. And he tosses out Bourne. 2 runs, 3 hits, a man stranded. The Astros lead it 2-0 after 2. Astros 2, Phillies nothing. Here's the 3rd inning. Joe Blanton leads it off. He's never hit a home run in a regular season game, but he hit one in the World Series last fall. That was game 4. There's strike 1 this season. He's 4 for 44, an .091 average with 1 RBI. He was the winning pitcher in game 4 last year for the Phils. Popped up off the end of the bat, back and out of play.
He's always been considered a much better World Series hitter than a regular season hitter. Just, I don't know what it is. And how about Brett Myers last year?
Yeah.
He didn't hit a lick all year, and then went into the postseason and went nuts.
It was crazy. These Phillies pitchers were doing.
He must have worked with Larry Anderson before the playoffs.
No chance that Larry was able to pass along anything to those guys that would have been helpful with the bat. 1 and 2. That was the first home run by a pitcher since Ken Holtzman in 1974 in the World Series. This time, Blanton strikes out.
That swing right there produced the World Series home run.
Amazing. Astros baseball on Fox Sports Houston is brought to you by the Ford F-150, by the MD Anderson Cancer Center, and by Geico. Larry could have caught them not throwing a slider.
Larry may have taught Blanton that swing right there. Blanton just took.
Pretty good chance. Shane Victorino bats. And a little dribbler brings in Oswald, and Bear Hansen throws to Berkman. 2 outs.
Now there's a lot of firepower in this Philly lineup, but lately they have not been getting a whole lot done. Shutout last night. Just came off a series against the Giants where they won 2 out of 3, but only scored 6 runs. Oh, check that. 3 runs.
Yeah, they scored 12 runs in 8 games.
And they won 1-0, got beat 4-0, and then won 2-1. The game before that against Atlanta, they won 3-2. And they're managing to win games, but it's when they're pitching.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, this is our first look at the Phillies all year. And paying attention to them early. With Howard and the Ibanez, and Rollins, and all the Utley, and all the great hitters. This guy, you think, wow, this is a great offensive team. And they are second in the league in runs scored. Lately, scuffling.
There's the swing, as called by Wally Bell. That's strike 2 to Worth. They're leading the league in slugging, but they're 8th in on base average. A lot of their runs have come on homers this year. That's strike 3, and Worth is caught looking for the third out. That's 5 straight for Oswald. He struck out 5 in the first 3 and leads it 2-0.
Welcome back to Minute Maid Park. Astros up by 2 as we go to the bottom of the third. And time for our progressive fan of the game. The little guy here a couple innings ago, Cole, took one to the nose. Cole, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
All right, tell me what happened. What do you remember about that little foul ball tip from Michael Bourne?
Well, I heard a big clack. The next thing I knew, I couldn't feel my body. I was shaking.
Yeah, so did you know immediately you got hit?
I didn't know what was going on.
Well, your brother here, Josh, has a glove. Why didn't he catch it?
Well, I wasn't right next to me. He was a couple feet right next to me.
Isn't it your job to protect your brother there, buddy?
Oh, yeah, I tried to. I thought it was going to go to the left of him, and I didn't even hear it hit anything. But then I saw him. He said he couldn't feel his nose, so.
You guys are season ticket holders. You sit here all the time. You know the risks, but this was a first, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right, but you didn't want to go, did you? You wanted to stay.
Yes.
All right, well, that's why Cole is our progressive fan of the game, and he gets this nice bag of stuff to make himself feel better. And here comes another one. All right, thanks so much, Cole.
Take cover there, Cole. Patty, watch out.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Down, Cole.
I'm getting out of here. It's dangerous.
All right, thanks, Patty.
I need to get him a snow cone.
Fly ball right field. Back is Jason Worth on the track. It's a long out, number 1 for Joe Blanton on Matsui in the third.
That's the most recent incoming. Cole's going to be a little skittish there.
Lance Berkman at that soft liner up the middle. Jimmy Rollins with the sliding catch on it. Lance will be inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Strike 1 in Waco. Along with the former Owl quarterback, Tommy Kramer. As part of the 2009 inductees.
Bud Adams also being inducted.
That's quite an honor. It's a very nice Hall of Fame. And Berkman and Kramer will be the 17th and 18th Rice Owls to earn induction. And Graham went in 04. 2 balls and a strike to Lance. Jess Neely, Ricky Nagel. Some very illustrious Rice Owls have already been inducted. Full count to Lance Berkman with Carlos Lee on deck. Lance led the Owls to their first College World Series appearance. He takes a 1-out walk here. First walk for Blanton. And it's Carlos Lee. He struck out looking in the first. Then he had some angry words from Mike Winters. JD mentioned Phillies pitching has really been attracting a lot of attention lately because of the lack of hitting by the Phils. Smacked on the line. Victorino plays it on one bounce. A hit for Carlos Lee. First and second, 1 out for Tejada now.
A solid line drive single here off the bat of Carlos Lee, and the Astros in business again here in the third. Tejada had a great swing last time, hit a BB off the scoreboard in left.
Tejada then rode home on the 2-run opposite field homer by Hunter Pence is on deck. In tight, ball 1.
Ryan gets pretty good movement on his 2-seam fastball. It doesn't really sink it, but he gets good movement in on right-handed hitters. He feels like he's got you looking in there, and he'll throw that slider away. The cutter there catches the outside edge. But the one in is the one Mickey wants to be careful of, because that can be a ground ball pitch. If he's looking to cover the outside corner and he swings at that inside fastball, that's the one he hits on the ground to the left side.
He's bounced into 23 double plays. Popped up behind the plate, out of play. 1-2. The Giants beat the Brewers in Milwaukee 3-2. Matt Cain won that one. He's 13-4. Giovanni Gallardo is 12-11. Brian Wilson got his 34th save. Juan Uribe hitting his 10th home run. Giants in that close wild card race with the Colorado Rockies. Colorado leading San Francisco by 1 before today. Broken bat, pop up. Jimmy Rollins. Infield fly was called. 2 outs.
Jimmy, I don't know if he was trying to deep glance there, going to that basket catch, as if to say, I might drop this and see if I can entice you to try to run.
Well, that would be fun. I think he was just, he heard the infield fly call, obviously. Hunter Pence.
Right field home run last night, right field home run tonight. He's hit 8 home runs since August 10th. So it's better than a third of his season output in long balls. A very good sign.
Strike 1 to Hunter.
So much Matt is disbelieving there. He thought that ball was up.
He's a .350 lifetime hitter against the Phillies coming into this game. Hunter hit a breaking pitch up the middle for a single last night. Good piece of hitting. 1 ball, 1 strike. Minnesota down Cleveland at Cleveland 4-1. Scott Baker winning his 13th against 7 losses. Joe Nathan got his 36th save. Berkman the runner at second. It's Lee on at first with 2 outs. That foul ball makes it 1-2 to Hunter. Scuffs at the dirt there. Did not get a good cut at that one, and it cost him a strike. very happy with himself there. Jeff Blum on deck. And the Astros third. 105 start tomorrow, 105 start Monday. Popped up, out of play. Paul Bacco.
Continue to pound in, and I guess the Phillies figure, well, if he's hitting the ball the other way, he's hit 2 home runs to right field so far in this series. We're going to see if he can pull that inside fastball. It's kind of a battle of wills. He doesn't want to look in there because he doesn't want to pull off the ball. They keep pumping that fastball in and see if Hunter changes his approach and cheats on that inside fastball.
Up the middle into center field. Torkman's coming home to make it 3-0 on the RBI single by Pence. He's driven in all 3. Just another outstanding at bat.
Brandon Bacco stayed with the inside fastball. He didn't hit it really hard, but this time able to open up the hips a little bit and get the barrel on it. Nice job of just battling by Hunter.
It's been pretty impressive what he's done. 1-2 pitch on the opposite field homer. 1-2 pitch. Line drive single to center. One of those 2-out, 2-strike hits. Batting coach would love to talk about. Jeff Blum looks at ball 1. He singled on a 1-2 count in the second. There's a looping hit to center field. Chris Coast is on deck. Up the middle, and Rollins will go to second and beat Pence for the 3rd out. 1 run scores on 2 hits. 2 men are left on base. It's 3-0 Astros after 3. The Houston Astrodome. What is next for the Dome? That's a question for another day, but Aflac Trivia wants to know who were the 3 Astros announcers to call the first baseball game at the Astrodome back in 1965. We'll let you come up with 3. And we look at the 4th inning. Roy Oswalt throwing strike 1 to Jimmy Rollins, who fouled out to the catcher, Chris Coast, first time up. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Phillies going into Tuesday's game had scored 46.17% of their runs on homers. Line home, Matsui. That one spins him around.
I don't know if that ball had some late movement. It might have been knuckling a little bit. It looked like he was tracking it pretty well, but ended up on his backside. I mean, the ball absolutely scalded.
Rollins really took the barrel of that one. Now the infield shifts around for Howard. Howard walked in the second inning. David Vincent of the Society for American Baseball Research tracks home runs by clubs and by individuals. So he was doing some research on this year's Phillies team, which leads the league in homers now with 186. And he came up with the fact that 8 teams since 1920 have finished a single season with a higher percentage of their runs on homers than the Phillies. Of those two, the White Sox in 08 and the Yankees in 61 made the playoffs. Only the 61 Yankees won a World Series. Opposite field, Carlos Lee.
Yeah, and I think the fear is when you're that dependent on the home run, you get into the postseason, typically you run up against frontline pitching and they don't make as many mistakes, and you find yourself in games where you have to be able to manufacture runs. But so despite those numbers, I think when I look at the personnel of the Phillies, they should be okay with Rollins and Victorino and Utley. They have the makeup, the team that should be able to score runs without hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And it's kind of talking on both sides of my mouth here because obviously the numbers indicate that they haven't this year.
Howard fouls it back. From what we're hearing, though, that has been a real sticky issue with the Phillies offensively. They have not delivered with men in scoring position. They're hitting .252 as a team with men in scoring position, but only .218 with 2 outs at men in scoring position. Driven to center field, Michael Bourne there. 2 outs, and yet the last couple games of the World Series last year, they did some things offensively they consistently had been failing to do most of the year. Our Jack in the Box standings features the most career no decisions by an Astro. Nolan Ryan had 82. Bob Knepper was 74. And it was Mike Scott, Larry Dierker, and Roy Oswalt is 5th. 62. 14 of those coming this season. If he gets one more this year, he ties the single season high held by Pete Harnish and Jim DeShays.
There'll be an on-field ceremony to mark that occasion if he gets there. Pete and I will go out and join Roy, and we'll stand around. I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know.
Strike to Ibanez.
Chinese? You want Italian? I don't know. Just hang out here. Somebody will make a decision.
No balls, 2 strikes. A floater hit to the opposite field, but slicing foul.
Ibanez credits Kevin Seitzer of the Royals with teaching him how to hit, how to be willing to hit the ball the other way. He first came up with the Mariners, he was a pull hitter.
One ball, 2 strikes. Oswalt at home is 3-2 with a 3.58 ERA this season. Ibanez caught looking at strikeout number 6 for the Wizard. And he's now retired 8 straight in a 3-0 game with the Astros leading. in the Astrodome. Who were those three Astros announcers? Harry Callis, Gene Elston, and Lowell Pass.
Harry the K passing away earlier this year. The Phillies hang his jacket and shoes there in the dugout for every game.
Strike one to Chris Coast, leading off the home fourth inning. He struck out in the second with Blanton pitching him in. This one's popped up. Cairo. One out. Roy Oswalt will follow. Rays lead the Tigers 6-3 at the end of 3 in St. Petersburg with James Shields on the mound. Mondo Galarraga was shelled and had to leave in the third inning. Placido Polanco hit his 10th home run for Detroit, and Longoria number 27, a 3-run shot for the Rays. Roy Oswalt put down a sac bunt in the second inning. Blanton delivers ball one.
Astros have scored 3 runs off Joe Blanton tonight. To find a game where Joe has allowed more than 3, you have to go all the way back to June 18th against the Toronto Blue Jays. 12 starts ago. He has been very, very good. 1.21 ERA in the month of July, 2.81 in August.
One hopper to third. Feliz to Howard. 2 outs. We go to Patty Smith. Patty.
Well, come celebrate your Labor Day with the Astros for the final game against the Phillies on Monday at 1:05. The first 10,000 adults 16 and older will receive an Astros grilling apron courtesy of Kielbasa Sausage. For more information and tickets, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Now, all of you won't be as fortunate as I am to actually be spending some of Labor Day weekend with JD. JD, will you be wearing that apron when I'm at your house on Sunday night?
Well, maybe. Yeah, I might break that out. I don't think I'll be cooking anything, but I'll just wear the apron for the heck of it.
All right.
Well, that should be fun for you, Patty.
Yes, it should. We're not going to Chick-fil-A for once. I'm actually going to his house.
For me, it's not a grilling apron, it's a spilling apron. Dump stuff all over and I'm covered.
And Kevin? Kevin is a new neighbor of yours?
Yes, he'll be roaming the streets with us, so we're going to kind of welcome him, or JD's welcoming him to the neighborhood, which is very nice.
Strike 3 to Michael Bourne. That does it for the 4th inning for Joe Blanton, and it's 3-0 Astros through 4.
In Astros history is brought to you by the MD Anderson Cancer Center. September 5, 1971, Game 2 of a doubleheader. J.R. Richard making his Major League debut. Ties a Major League record by striking out 15 San Francisco Giants. How about that? A record held by Brooklyn's Carl Spooner, set in 1954. There's more.
Jeff Plum makes the play to his left, throwing out Pedro Feliz. One out in the fifth. What else do you have?
Well, in game one of that doubleheader, Jack Billingham struck out 11 Giants. So they set the record for combined strikeouts in a doubleheader, 26 of those. And also, the final strikeout in that game was Hal Lanier batting for the Giants, former Astros manager.
One out, and it's Cairo batting. Cairo hit a fly ball to center field in the second inning. Chase Utley getting a rest tonight. And there's strike one. Day game coming up tomorrow. It'll be Bud Norris and Cole Hamels at 1:05 tomorrow on My 20. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Monday at 1:05, back here on Fox Sports Houston, Brian Moeller opposes lefty Jay Happ. Fly ball center field, Michael Bourne. 2 down. Happ leads National League rookie pitchers in several different departments. He's a strong candidate for Rookie of the Year. A 10-4 record and a 2.77 ERA for Jay Happ. Two down, and it's Paul Bacco. Paul, in addition to being from Lafayette, went to the University of Southwestern Louisiana at Lafayette. It's now called Louisiana Lafayette. Takes ball 1. He was Cliff Lee's catcher for Lee's first 4 starts with the Phillies. They went pretty doggone well. 2 balls, no strikes.
They might want to reunite him.
They might.
Those two haven't gone so well for Cliff.
Derek Lee homered twice for the Cubs today. They won at New York, beating the Mets 5-3. Rich Harden getting that win. He's 9-8. 2 balls, 1 strike. Before that game, the Cubs were 11.5 behind the Cardinals. The Astros trail by 15. The Astros in 4th. Milwaukee's in 3rd, but the Cubs only 3.5 in front of the Astros coming into play today. 2-2. Pitcher Blanton on deck.
The Wizard is in the rocking chair right now. He is in complete control of this game.
Won his last start beating Rich Harden in Chicago 5-3. Last start at home for Roy. He beat Arizona 1-0. 5 of his last 6 starts have been on the road. It's a full count now to Bacco.
Bacco, thinking man's catcher. He got inside of Roy's head there. He was all over that curveball. He saw it all the way. Didn't flinch at all.
Chops the fastball up the middle and on through into center field for a 2-out single for Paul Bacco.
He earned that one, disregarding the curveball the way he did. Roy figured, well, if he's seeing that curveball, let's try a fastball. And Bacco was on it, shot it right back through the middle.
Gets the pitcher Blanton to the plate. Blanton struck out in the 3rd inning. And strike 1.
I said that about Bacco being reunited with Cliff Lee, and I can't get that stupid reunited song out of my head. I'm just sitting here, Peaches and Herb is kind of floating through my brain.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Jason pump some music into my head to deprogram me.
No balls, 2 strikes. Don't you hate it when that happens?
Either that or I'm going to start singing and it's going to be ugly.
Struck him out. That's number 7 for the Wizard. And it's 3-0 Astros in the 5th. Astros baseball on Fox Sports Houston is brought to you by AT&T, by Dodge, and by Jack Daniels. In downtown Houston, first place Phillies, defending world champions, came in last night. They were blanked 7-0 by the Astros. These fans on a Saturday night have watched the Astros build a 3-0 lead through 4.5. And the pitching has been sparkling from Wandy Rodriguez with 7 innings last night. Burdack and Brocale finished up. Oswalt tonight against Joe Blanton. Matsui, Berkman, and Lee to the plate in the 5th. Matsui's 0 for 2. Cairo made a very good play to his right to get Matsui in the first inning. And there's ball 1. Texas Rangers were 2 behind Boston in the wild card race coming into play today. The Orioles beat the Rangers 5-4 in Baltimore.
Now, Red Sox got beat as well. Chicago took care of business against Boston 5-1.
Just thinking about that, if Boston would not make the playoffs, oh boy. To left field, Cabanez in a few steps. 1 down after getting rid of a couple of pitchers who have done pretty well since they left the Red Sox. That wouldn't go down real well.
That's what I mean. I think the other clubs got to start circling like vultures, looking for the next pitcher to drop off that roster. See what Daisuke Matsuzaka's up to, or just floating around over there.
That's Berkman, 0 for 1 with a walk. He has scored a run. That's ball 1 to Lance. And the tough thing for the Rangers is apparently Michael Young will miss the next couple of weeks with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, I'm kind of pulling for the Rangers. It's been so long for them. It's nice to see new blood get in.
David Murphy his 13th homer. The winning pitcher for Baltimore, Brian Mattis, the rookie left-hander, is 4-2. Jim Johnson got his 8th save. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a story in Sports Illustrated on the Rangers. Nolan Ryan talking with the pitchers. Good play there, apparently. Changing the culture. And he said, well, it's the second half of the season that will tell the tale. How we hold up in the heat. And certainly it really hurts to lose a player of Young's caliber for a couple of weeks in September. Berkman's down on strikes. That's number 4 for Blanton.
Anytime an Astro player hits one of the Chick-fil-A foul poles, fans from the game can take their ticket stub to any Greater Houston area Chick-fil-A for a free Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. And it does happen. We've had 2 or 3 instances where Astros hit the foul pole.
Strike to Carlos Lee. He's 1 for 2. Joe Blanton leads the Phillies starters in innings and quality starts. Second in strikeouts to Cole Hamels. 0-2. Has his second best ERA among major league starters since the 5th of July.
$5-12 with the A's last year. And the Phillies got him, and he pitched well for Philadelphia. 4-0 in the Philly uniform last year in 13 starts. 9-6 this year.
Blanton's been a good second half pitcher in his career, 28-16 after the All-Star break with an ERA under 4. Still a 1 ball, 2 strike count to El Caballo.
This lack of run support, nothing new for Blanton. Phillies have scored 2 runs or fewer in 10 of his 25 starts. 3 runs or fewer in 12 of 25. So just about half of the time he's not getting a lot of run support. It's surprising given the lineup.
2-2. Phillies ERA is 6th in the National League, but considering their park is a tough one for a pitcher, that speaks pretty well for their staff. Now a full count to Lee. Astros will play 4 games in Philadelphia that final week of the season. Tejada's on deck. 6 hits for Houston, 2 for Philadelphia. He hits that one foul.
With the ball, give him chicken sandwich. Well, Blanton, you saw his frustration with the previous pitch that he left upstairs, and then he just threw a hanging breaking ball that he got away with. Up over 90 pitches now, maybe starting to fatigue a little bit.
Foul tip held on to by Barco for strikeout number 5 for Blanton. It's 3-0 Astros through 5. Houston 3, Philadelphia nothing. Time now for our Dodge Grab Live feature. Here's Darren Erstad on his favorite TV show.
King of Queens. Kevin James is pretty funny, and I don't know, I've watched quite a few episodes, put it that way.
Roy Oswalt delivers to Shane Victorino. There's strike 1. 6th inning underway. Victorino has rolled out twice. He'll be followed by Worth and Rollins. Ground ball to second. Matsui there. And Roy continues to sail along.
And Roy, from the outset, has been very good tonight. Chris Coast and Roy working well together, getting that curveball going early. So he's all his weapons at his disposal from the first inning. The curveball, fastball, changeup. On both 4 and 2 seamers, using both sides of the plate. There's a tight little slider there. This has been a pretty solid effort. Fun to watch. Just carving these hitters up.
Worth takes strike 1. Excellent numbers for Roy against a high-powered offensive club, which has belted 186 home runs this year. 1 ball, 1 strike to Worth. It's 2-1 now.
And Roy normally will throw his changeup to left-handed hitters and not throw it to righties, but in his start against the Cubs, he threw at least a couple to right-handed hitters. And talking to him after the game, he said, well, you know, I've been around the league, and these guys have seen me now enough. It's time to break out some new wrinkles. Talked about, you know, pitchers that last and are at the top of the league for a long time. They have 2 careers. You have the career, you establish yourself and you get to a point, and then you get to that point where they start to figure you out a little bit. And the question is, can you come up with a counterpunch? Can you figure out something else that's going to keep you at that level for a long time?
He has a 6-game winning streak against the Phillies. That's tied for second longest in Astros history. 3-2. Dave Roberts won 7 straight against the Phils, back from 72 through 74.
And I think his point is most valid when you consider the teams in the NL Central. These teams, the Phillies and the teams in the East and the West, they don't see him a whole lot. The teams in the division see him all the time.
That was weird.
Jason Worth has struck out twice tonight and just got his bat shattered. Just gets absolutely sawed off. That's it. That's all I got left.
That's all he had left. The barrel was out by the mound, and the ball trickled over to first base coach Davey Lopes. Jimmy Rollins on deck. A tough night so far for Phillies hitters. They got 8 hits, but 7 singles and a double last night. They had a bases loaded opportunity in the 7th with 1 out. Couldn't cash in last night.
Oh, my.
That's hard to believe, but it's second walk for Roy tonight.
I don't know if Jason Worth has that good of an eye or if he just got lucky.
It had to catch the plate, didn't it?
It was on the plate. It must have been down a little bit. Definitely on the plate.
Okay.
I thought it was a good pitch, but, you know, if we were to ask Mike Winters what he was calling, I'm guessing he was going to say down.
Okay.
But when you've punched out twice, you're not taking that pitch unless you're just fooled and you can't pull the trigger.
Yeah. Rollins to center. Michael Bourne backing. 2 outs. Rollins is 0 for 3. And it's Ryan Howard. Howard walked on a 3-2 pitch in the 2nd. He lined to center field on a 3-2 count in the 4th. A look at Towles Hill from Frank Trevino's camera. He's up in the upper deck in right field. Different perspective than we normally have.
There he is. Wow. Frank's not afraid of heights.
He can handle it.
Why don't we put Frank on a wire and just run him across the top of the ballpark?
Who was the guy in Philadelphia, that performer who walked across a wire? Way back once upon a time. 70s probably? Do you remember that? You're too young.
Probably Carl Wallenda.
One of those type performers, yes. Didn't they have a kite man who attempted to land inside Veterans Stadium? That was a disaster one year in Philly.
That guy with a little glider kind of apparatus?
Yeah. It glided into a bad area. I think he cracked up in the seats or something like that. We'll have to ask Chris Wheeler, somebody who's been around the Phillies for a long time, can remember some of those things.
Phils weren't winning much back in the day, trying to drum up some business.
Yeah. They tried a lot of different promotional ideas. Howard with a fly ball sends it into the seats. That's a 1-2 count. Bill Giles, of course, was here in Houston and got in trouble for putting some remarks about the umpires up on the old scoreboard in the Astrodome. Got in trouble with his father, Warren, who was the president of the National League. Then Bill went to Philadelphia. Took some good ideas there. Matsui's in shallow right field. Tejada on the first base side of second. That leaves Jeff Blum about where the shortstop plays on some right-handed batters. And that's the way it all looks.
Worth capable of stealing a bag, so Oswald's paying a little attention to him.
Howard's down on strikes. And strikeout number 8. What a game for Roy Oswald. Through 5.5. It's 3-0. The upper deck in right field, Lance Berkman diving to get Shane Victorino on a toss to Roy Oswalt as he led off the game. Good defensive play to start the night. Roy Oswalt has fan 8. He hasn't needed a whole lot of good defensive plays. There is strike one to Miguel Tejada. Tejada batting in the home 6th inning. And that's a pop-up. Shallow left field. Jimmy Rollins calling off Pedro Feliz. Rollins has it. That's 8 straight outs for Joe Blanton. After giving up the 2-run homer to Hunter Pence in the 2nd, an RBI single to Pence in the 3rd, Blanton has put a stop on the Astros.
Yeah, if Hunter Pence had the flu, he'd be in a scoreless game.
Sanho Park working in the bullpen for the Phils. 2-run homer to right field by Hunter in the 2nd to extend his hitting streak to 8 games. Then the RBI single to center in the 3rd. Both hits coming with 2 strikes in the count. Really? Strike one for Blanton.
Winner's hearing it from the Astros dugout.
Cardinals 1, Pirates 1, middle of the 6th at Pittsburgh. Liner to right. Well hit ball caught by Worth. It got up in the lights maybe on him. But once again, Hunter puts a good swing on a pitch. It's 9 straight outs. What's on tap with the Astros? Brought to you by Bud Light. Shows you tomorrow. Cole Hamels and Bud Norris. And Monday, Jay Happ and Brian Moeller. Both games start at 1:05. Tomorrow, airtime on My 20, 1 o'clock. Monday, airtime for Astros Live on Fox Sports Houston, 12:30. Jeff Blum looks at ball 1. He's 1 for 2. 6 hits for the Astros, 2 for the Phillies. Blum has left 4. Mitchell Boggs for the Cardinals against Ross Ollendorf for the Pirates tonight in that 1-1 game in the middle of the 6th at Pittsburgh. Bud Norris threw a bullpen last night, was declared ready to go for Sunday. The Astros have been giving him some additional rest. He's piling up more innings than before in his career. And several major league clubs are doing that to young pitchers, giving them extra time between because the innings have gotten high for them. Blanton takes care of it, and that's 10 straight outs for him to keep it at 3-0 Astros through 6.
And be sure to join the Astros for our Salute to Heroes on September 11th at 7:05 against the Pirates, honoring our local police, fire, EMS workers, and our military. The first 10,000 fans will receive a patriotic cap, courtesy of Chase Bank, and the first 20,000 fans will get a mini U.S. flag, courtesy of Arnie's Texas Size Party Store. Plus, members of the police force, fire department, EMS, and military can receive half-price tickets and participate in a in-field pregame ceremony. Check out all the details at astros.com/heroes, guys.
Thank you, Patty. There is Raul Ibanez taking, and it's strike 1. He has struck out twice looking in this game. Count going to 1-1 strike. It's been a gem so far for Roy Oswalt, but this Phillies club is explosive. It's a 2-1 strike count now. Last night, Charlie Manuel said the clubs he had with the Cleveland Indians really were technically better hitters offensively as a group than this Philadelphia club, but still home run dependent offense. But probably they're going to have 4 guys, it would appear easily, JD, with 30 home runs or more. That's not an everyday occurrence in Major League Baseball.
No, that's pretty rare. Yankees are hitting a bunch of home runs. But this Philly club, they talk so much about the superior lineups in the American League. This Philly lineup could stand up against any of those AL lineups. Just appears lost in the batter's box right now.
He does.
Well, Charlie Manuel, when he was with Cleveland, it was Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell, Carlos Baerga, Jim Thome, Kenny Lofton.
Hard hit ball and on through into left center field. Carlos Lee getting over to pick it up. And hold Ibanez to lead off single. Hit number 3 for the Phillies.
Now he's found. He once was lost, but now he's found. Just like that. Cool. Well,
could do a lot for him. He hasn't been doing much of that lately. Now Pedro Feliz 1 for 2. The Phillies could set a record for wins on the road in a season, club record. They need only 7 more wins this year to do that. 16 road games remaining. The record was set way back in 1976 when they won 48 on the road. It was a very good Philadelphia club which got swept in the playoffs by Cincinnati that year. And youngsters a little bit happier tonight. Phillies actually have the 3rd best road ERA in the majors, 3.84 once they get away from Citizens Bank Park. Very tough on ERAs. In the air up the right field line, Hunter Pence over into foul territory. Now further over for the first out.
And their hitters can't wait to get home. Their pitchers can't wait to get on the road. Guys get more airtime than we are.
It's like they like Frank's camera in the truck. Miguel Cairo is 0 for 2, 2 fly balls to center field. Some different angles out there in right field.
Better get that baby sponsored. Frankie Cam.
Yeah. Upstairs, ball 1 to Cairo. Andy Pettit won his 4th straight start. The Yankees beating Toronto in Toronto 6-4 with home runs from Mark Teixeira and Robinson Cano. Teixeira hit his 33rd, Cano his 23rd. Into left field for a single for Cairo. Runners at first and second, 1 out for Paul Bacco now. That's 4 hits for the Phillies.
Bacco to hit here with 1 out. Blanton due up next, but I'm sure they'll pinch hit for Blanton. If the inning continues, Roy will be looking for a double play ball off the bat of Paul Bacco here.
Bacco struck out in the 2nd. He singled center field in the 5th inning. Ball's grounded into only 1 double play in 72 at bats. Chris Coast out to the hill. Pettit now 13-6. What do you see?
Well, I see Chris Coast talking to Roy and then motioning to the Astros dugout. Was back maybe acting up again. He had some pain in his leg in that start in Chicago. It was associated with the back issue.
Head athletic trainer Nate Lucero accompanied Cecil Cooper to the mound. Yeah, he's been dealing with that lower back issue for a while. Got an injection in that back a few weeks ago, and it's been bothering him much of the year. He's been kept quiet. The Astros will not test it if he's saying anything at all about it bothering him. Two pitchers warming up in the Houston bullpen right now, and Roy's going to come off the mound. 6 1/3 outstanding innings tonight for the Wizards, leading with the 3-0 lead. 2 men on base, and Baco due up next. Well, Roy has the best. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. What an outstanding night for Roy Oswalt, but he leaves with an apparent lower back issue. That brings in Tim Burdack, the pinch hitter for Paul Baco, will be Ben Francisco. Burdack is 1-1. His ERA's come down to 2.88 because he has 14 consecutive scoreless outings over 10 innings, JD.
Yeah, he's been on a real nice roll. Unfortunately, Roy has to leave this game. 2 runners on base obviously belong to Roy, so he cannot lose this game. He's got a 3-0 lead, but Burdack out there to shut the Phillies down and not allow them any. Tommy Manuel counters with Ben Francisco, a right-handed hitting outfielder. He's got a little pop. He's hit 12 home runs this year. Talked a lot about the firepower that the Phillies have, the depth in their lineup. Their bench has not been very good at all in terms of pinch hit batting average. They're dead last in the National League.
Carlos Ruiz comes out also to the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot due up next after Francisco pinch hits for Baco. Ruiz apparently will go in to be the catching. Burdack gets all the warm-ups he needs because of the injury to Roy Oswalt. He doesn't need many in the bullpen. Been an extremely busy left-hander. Wesley Wright has been brought back from his minor league rehab assignment after his injury, but Burdack has been the lefty for weeks before that, and he continues to be the guy who comes in these types of situations quite often, JD.
Yeah, Wesley Wright now warming up in the bullpen. Phillies have switch hitters in the 1 hole with Victorino, the 3 spot with Rollins, and of course dangerous left-handers in Howard and Ibanez, and a very dangerous left-handed batter on the bench, Chase Utley, who did not start tonight. Charlie Manuel opting to give Utley a night off. Day games coming tomorrow and then again on Monday. And Utley had struggled against Roy Oswalt in his career, so Charlie picked a good day to give Chase a night off. But a dangerous bat over there looming. You got to make sure you've got that second lefty available depending on how Charlie Manuel plays.
At Hou Park has had quite some time to get loose for the Phillies. Now it's Francisco. He's having a good time out in the 5-7 grill tonight. Burdak has a new career high for appearances in one season. This is number 62 for Tim. Francisco comes up with 1 out, runners at first and second, and a 3-0 lead for the Astros. 217, 2 homers, 7 runs batted in since the trade brought him from the Cleveland Indians to the Phillies. Francisco looks at ball 1. Baco was 1 for 2 when he was in there. Francisco last night was 1 for 4. Line into center field. Ibanez around third coming home. The throw goes in toward third base, and it's 3-1. An RBI pinch single by Francisco. Carlos Ruiz comes up.
Good solid line drive single by Francisco.
Ruiz, who does most of the catching for the Phillies, now watches Cecil Cooper come out. We'll make a change after Francisco delivered the pinch RBI single. Wesley Wright has been throwing in the bullpen for the Astros, and Jeff Fulcino as well. Burdak faces 1 batter, and we have a change with Fulcino headed in. 3-1 Houston. More in a moment. Second 1 out. Jeff Fulcino comes in. He inherits runners at first and second. And it'll be Carlos Ruiz batting against him. Fulcino with a 5-4 record.
Jeff having a very nice year for the Astros, up and down early on, but has settled in. Has been a big part of the bullpen the last month or so. He worked 5 times on the recently completed road trip. For the most part, has thrown the ball well. A little bit wobbly of late, but worked hard on that trip, and I think his stuff just started to flatten out a little bit. So he's had, 3 or 4 days off now. Probably be a little crisper here this evening.
Now, Tuesday in Chicago, gave up 2 hits and 1 run in 2 innings. Ruiz 253, 8 homers, has driven in 34. Broken bat looper over Tejada. That lands in left center field for a hit. And run number 2 comes home. The throw goes to second base. It's 3-2. And a second consecutive pinch hit RBI single for the Phillies gets them to within 1 with Cairo scoring. Francisco taking third.
You can close the book on Roy Oswalt. Those 2 runs go on his ledger tonight. Bad break for Fulcino. Made a pitch, broke the bat. So the Astros getting a little dose of their own medicine. They dropped a number of these on Cliff Lee last night. And this is a good heads-up play by Carlos Lee here. See, he would have been tempted to take a shot at that runner at third base. But if he does, he allows the go-ahead runner to get in scoring position.
Now it's Victorino. Shane is 0 for 3. Double play setup for Tejada and Matsui. There's ball 1 to Victorino. Victorino, the flying Hawaiian, has grounded into 4 double plays and more than 500 at bats. Fulcino falls behind 2-0. LaTroy Hawkins warming up for Houston. Roy Oswalt in 6 1/3 innings allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, walking 2, fanning 8. He threw 95 pitches, 62 for strikes. Foul back, 2-1.
And these are difficult games for relievers to come into, and the starter has pitched so well and been in control. You come in thinking, gee, I don't want to blow this one. He pitched so well.
Now it's Sammy Hervasio warming up along with Wesley Wright for the Astros. Swing and a miss by Victorino. The announcement made on Roy Oswalt. Tightness in his lower back forced him from the game. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 35,195 that paid attendance on this Saturday night. Jeff Keppinger also left the game last night with a lower back issue, and he's out tonight. Tejada back for the catch.
The first hitter, I thought, no, not again.
Yeah. Probably what the guys on the Houston bench were thinking as it headed for Tejada. He backed up for the second out, and now he can play deeper.
I guarantee it's what the guy in the clubhouse with an ice pack on his back was thinking.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Now, here's the conference here between Coast and Fulcino. Runners at first and third. Worth the batter. Worth 0 for 2 with a walk.
Well, and this is where Coast really pays off. With Roy out there, Roy's got a world of experience, and he's faced these Philly hitters before. So Coast, with his knowledge, could certainly augment what Roy knows. But with Fulcino out there with limited experience against his club, Coast could really be valuable. Still got to execute the pitch. Trying to go away, and he left it in.
1 ball, no strikes. Pitcher Spadu up second for Houston in the bottom of this inning. It's 2-0 with Jimmy Rollins on deck. Phillies have 36 come from behind wins this year. That's tied for first in the National League. Joe Blanton in 6 innings allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, walking 1, fanning 5. He threw 99 pitches, 70 for strikes. To left field, Carlos Lee over for the third out, and the Phillies make it a 1-run lead with 2 runs on 4 hits. They strand 2. It's 3-2 Houston. tonight. See what Larry had to say. He's over in the Phillies radio booth. Former Astros reliever saying, why do people sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when they're already there? Good question. And he had this penchant for asking questions for which there was no answer.
A very deep thinker. Plato of baseball.
Carlos Ruiz stays in to do the catching. Chan-Ho Park is the pitcher. He's 3-2 with a 4.44 ERA.
Chan-Ho Park?
Yeah.
This guy's still pitching?
He's 36.
He's amazing.
Still at it. He was with the Dodgers last year. Chris Coast leads it off.
He's 10 years younger than Jamie Moyer. Why are we surprised that Chan-Ho's still going? I guess it's because Chan-Ho at various times has been, it seems like he's been done, you know, either hurt or this performance really suffering. He manages to kind of battle his way back.
Came up with the Dodgers in '94. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Park from Korea. He was with the Dodgers through the 0-1 season. He was an all-star that year, starting pitcher with a 15-11 record that season. First, sit back. Then he was with the Rangers, San Diego, the Mets. Last year back with the Dodgers as mostly a reliever. He made 5 starts last year. And this year he's made 7 starts. Inside to Coast. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Chris. Darren Erstad is on deck to pinch hit for Jeff Fulcino. LaTroy Hawkins in the bullpen for Houston. Softly hit to short. Jimmy Rollins. Low throw, and Ryan Howard saves him an error. He's made only 3 all year.
He almost got a careless one there. The big fella bailed him out.
It's the best fielding percentage of any major league shortstop this season.
I guess if you're going to miss low, that way the first baseman has a chance to pick it for you. Airmail it. Obvious error. A little sinker.
The pinch hitter for Fulcino is Darren Erstad. Howard with that good play. That's 11 straight Astros set down. Erstad looks at ball 1. 210 for Darren. 119 at bats. 2 homers, 11 runs batted in. He's tied for the club lead with 11 pinch hits. 47 pinch at bats for Darren, including a home run. Park throws one for strike 1. It's a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Tim Burdack allowed a hit to the only man he faced, but no runs, no walks or strikeouts. Jeff Fulcino, 2/3 of an inning.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is Darren Erstad not the only left-handed bat on the bench tonight?
You are correct, sir.
I feel like using here with a 3-2 lead.
Good point.
You know, in case you fall behind later and you got maybe Lage or somebody like that out there.
That's a thought. Strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fulcino, 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, no runs. No walks, no strikeouts for Jeff. Got Victorino and Worth to end that frame after Phillies had 4 hits in the inning. Erstad fouls it.
Maybe he's got some numbers against Chan-Ho.
We can check on that.
Hey, they're doing a wave here. How about that?
I wonder where they got that idea.
Yeah.
Chan-Ho Park, Darren Erstad, 12 for 44, 273. Part of at bats. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Park has plenty of rest. His last appearance was August 28th against Atlanta.
Spoiled a good pitch. Chan-Ho, a little cut fastball there. Chan-Ho's body fat, about 2%.
Yeah, he's a hard
Oh,
worker.
goodness. Yeah, he's Fanatic.
Saw a clip from him on one of the sports shows with the highlights of top fights and weird things in baseball. We had a little episode with him. I think it was Tim Belcher. Parker's running up the first baseline. Belcher came over and tagged him. Parker tried to kick him. Grounded to Howard. 2 outs.
Tried to drop a little flying leg whip kind of thing.
Yes, he did.
What a competitor. Anything. Stayed down just long enough.
The Astros haven't had a hit since Hunter Pence's RBI single in the third. That's 12 straight retired by Blanton and Park. Michael Bourne is 1 for 3. Bounces this one, and that'll get by and go on into left field as Feliz couldn't flag it down. Bourne is 2 for 4, and that should impress Charlie Manuel even more because that's what he was talking about in the article.
And Feliz shortened up to take away the bunt because of it. Chopper squirts right through the hole between third and short.
Michael stole second base back in the first inning. That was his 50th steal of the year. Now there's a little conference with Ruiz and Park about Michael with Matsui batting. Matsui is 0 for 3. Ruiz has thrown out 24%. Those attempting to steal. There's a throw over. Park has started a lot of games in his career against the Astros. Pitched twice in relief and won one of those in the 11th inning last year. And the Dodgers were here July 1st. Michael is being watched carefully. That's an elite club of Astros who've stolen 50 bases. We joined earlier tonight. Cedeno did it 6 times. Line to center. Victorino with the grab. No runs a hit and the man stranded after 7. 3-2 Astros. Ford Dealers game summary shows you Roy Oswalt with a very good night, tying his season high in strikeouts with 8. He worked 6 1/3 before coming out with lower back stiffness, allowing 4 hits and 2 runs, walking 2, fanning 8. Then Hunter Pence has provided all the runs for the Astros with a 2-run homer in the second inning off Joe Blanton, an RBI single in the third. Phillies in the 7th inning, came up with 4 hits and 2 runs to make it into a 1-run game. And now as we move to the 8th, it's LaTroy Hawkins coming in with that 1-run lead.
He's got to deal with the middle of the Philly order here. Rollins, Howard, Ibanez due up. LaTroy working for the 55th time this year, 1-4 with 11 saves and a 2.05 ERA. I was talking with David Gottfried in the dining room before the game, assistant to the general manager. David said, does it seem to you like LaTroy's thrown his curveball more since he's come off the disabled list?
Yes.
I said, I don't know. I don't really pay attention.
I would agree with that. There it is. Ball 1 to Rollins.
Don't pay me enough to notice that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Fred Myers is warming up for the Phillies. Rollins is 0 for 3. Not sure about the reason for that. We'll have to ask him for it.
You know, and it may be, you know, because he pitched for a while with the shingles before he went on the DL. So, you know, dealing with the shingles and in the aftermath for a while, he may have just not felt comfortable with certain pitches. You know, certain ailments bother you on certain pitches and not others for whatever reason, the release point or how you make the pitch. But I think two pitchers just go, they get hot and cold. They get a feel for a certain pitch and they run with it. Valverde's a great example. For a stretch there, he was throwing one splitter after another. And he's getting hit around a little bit. Now he's gone back to throwing a high percentage of fastballs.
It's a good point you're making because there's not a lot of margin for error in this spot in the game. Smacked into center field. Rollins on with a single.
Single in a big turn, so any kind of a misplay, he's thinking about getting to second base. Certainly a threat to try to steal a base. Protecting a one-run lead against this powerful lineup with a fly ball pitcher like Hawkins. A little bit of a dangerous proposition. Hawk has been very good this year. Anytime you get a guy who gets a lot of outs in the air, you're worried about the home run ball.
Howard is 0 for 2 with a walk. Infield continues to shift around for Howard, as you see.
I don't care how you get your outs, you're worried about the home run ball when this guy steps in there.
Ball 1 to Howard. Ibanez on deck. Howard 0 for 1 against Hawkins in his career. Troy had a scoreless inning at Chicago on Wednesday, also pitched on Monday, giving up 1 run on a Derek Lee homer in that game.
Interesting situation here. Hawkins is pretty slow to home plate, so they probably feel like Jimmy Rollins can run. Davey Lopes, the first base coach, was a great base stealer in his day. He keeps the clock down there. Depending on the pitcher's time, he'll let the runner know, hey, you go, don't go, or if you feel like you need a jump, go for it. But they're not probably overly worried about the double play with Hawkins on the mound, not a guy who gets a lot of ground ball outs.
Lopes encouraged Cole Hamels to steal a base a few days ago, and he did. He's going. Crank to center field. And that's going to score him to tie this ball game. Howard heads for second. Rollins will score easily to make it 3-3. Now Howard going to third. Matsui's throw not in time. 3-3 game. And Howard's at third with nobody out. With his 4th triple of the year, scoring Rollins, who set sail on the pitch.
Both these balls hit hard in this inning. A fastball outer third, and Howard just goes out and lifts it into the alley out there in right center. Rollins moving with the pitch, stopped at second base, knowing that if it got down, he's going to be able to score. So he's just going to read the play, make sure it got down. And Howard chugging hard all the way. Puts the Astros in a tough situation where they've got to pull the infield in, nobody out.
Ibanez the batter. That's a curve for strike one to him. He singled and scored in the 7th inning after striking out twice. Banyas is 0 for 13 in his career against Hawkins. Foul ball out of play, and it's 0-2. Feliz on deck, and Howard ran well as he got to third on that triple.
He's a great chip. Didn't he lose a bunch of weight over the winter?
Yes. He looks to be a lot slimmer than he did last year. 114 runs batted in now for Howard. This ball got him. Foul tip. Held by Coast for out number 1. Well, he really set up that fastball with a couple of breaking pitches.
Great spot to go against a lefty power hitter. An up and in fastball. Banyas kind of looked awfully slow here tonight. Third time he's punched out.
Pedro Feliz. Field still in, 1 for 3. Phillies have won 6 times when they trailed after 7 innings. Smashed over Tejada. That gives the Phillies a lead 4-3 on an RBI single by Feliz. 65th run batted in.
Feliz jumps on that first fastball. LaTroy trying to get ahead, throws it right down the middle. Wasn't trying to go there. They're trying to go out of third. He just missed his spot. And Feliz punished him for it.
Howard is home, and the Phillies have their first lead. Miguel Cairo bats. He's 1 for 3. Feliz draws a throw.
Feliz has not tried to steal a base this year.
Pitcher Spot due up next. Looks like catcher Ruiz is in the on-deck circle just to occupy that. There's ball 1.
Little 55-footer.
Now the Phillies get a potential pinch hitter out to, no, it's actually Chan Ho Park himself coming out to the on-deck circle. We had Brett Myers warming up, and Myers just came off the 60-day disabled list. He had hip surgery earlier in the season. He is back ahead of schedule. And the plan is to move him into the 6th and 7th inning area in relief. Exactly when? Well, it sounded from the stories coming into this series as if it could be last night, tonight, anytime soon. No matter what the situation. Deep to right, Hunter Pence backing on it. It's one hopping over the wall and into the stands. Opposite field double for Cairo. Runners at second and third and 1 out now, and they've got 4 hits in the inning.
LaTroy throws a 4-seam fastball. Doesn't get a lot of movement, but typically has good life. He gets strikeouts up in the zone with it when he needs to locate. And tonight his location just hasn't been there. Gets a little bit tangled up trying to pursue that one, but really well struck. Got every ball in this inning. Well, as a matter of fact, all 4 of the hits are right on the barrel.
Now Matt Stairs is announced as the pinch hitter for Chan Ho Park. Left-handed hitting outfielder. First base is open. The Astros will put him on with the intentional walk. 193 for Stairs, 4 homers, 13 runs batted in. And the bases will be loaded for the catcher, Ruiz. Chan-Ho Park leaving after going 1 inning, allowing 1 hit, no runs, had no walks, no strikeouts. And Ruiz will be coming up with the bases loaded. Roy Oswalt could have won number 7 in a row against the Phillies. That lead now has gotten away, and the Astros trail by 1. Phillies have 10 hits to the Astros 7. And the Astros would love a double play ball here to go to the bottom of the 8th, trailing by 1.
I guess we'll postpone that presentation because Roy tied me and Pete Harnish for no decisions.
Ooh. 234 for Ruiz with the bases loaded.
There's some no decisions. You're happy to spit the hook and get off the hook, and there are other times where you knew you were in complete control of the game and then it gets away. And unfortunately for Roy, the back issue crept up on him. If he's healthy, he doesn't have that back. This game's probably over, and we're driving home. He was dealing.
Yes, he was. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, this will be 15 no decisions out of 28 starts for Roy.
And I was looking at the schedule. I think it would project 5 or 6 more starts for Roy if the back isn't an issue. If he's able to take the ball every 5th day.
One and 1 to Ruiz.
I guess it becomes a question of is there potential for further damage by continuing to go out there. You don't have a whole lot on the line now at this stage of the season, team-wise.
Third ball's fouled away. 1 and 2 to Carlos Ruiz.
Roy has won in double digits every year of his career, even the 03 season where he only made 21 starts due to injury. He won 10 games that year, so I imagine that's meaningful for him. Maybe not.
Wesley Wright, Jose Valverde are throwing for Houston in the bullpen. And a late flurry of offense for the Phillies. 4 hits and 2 runs in the 7th. 4 more hits and 2 runs so far here in the 8th. Called for that pitch. Phillies came into this game having scored almost half their runs this season on homers. They have not hit a long ball. Charlie Manuel's club has the lead by 1, and a hit here could really change the complexion of this.
Brad Lidge has really struggled this year as the closer of the Philadelphia Phillies. Lately, he's been throwing better, and he feels like he's turned a corner. But when you just look at the numbers, you feel like, well, if you keep it close, you got a shot at Brad.
In the dirt, and now it's a full count. Well, Hawkins struggling here in the 8th inning, giving up a single to Rollins, RBI triple to Howard. He struck out Ibanez, but then Feliz came back with an RBI single. Cairo doubled, intentional walk to Stairs. Faces a big 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded and 1 out. Ground ball to short. Tejada to second. Matsui to first, and there's a double play to end the top of the 8th inning. The Phillies grab the lead with 2 runs, 4 hits. They strand a couple. Bottom of the 8th coming, 4-3 Philadelphia.
score 4-3. Visit the official online shop of the Astros at Astros.com. There you'll browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and so much more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Astros.com shop.
Now here's the return of Brett Myers, the 29-year-old former starting pitcher, but now back to the bullpen, and he's excelled also in that role. He comes in with a 4-3 record with 10 games under his belt and a 4.66 ERA after surgery in June on his hip, JD.
Yeah, he has not pitched in the major league since May 27th. He made 10 starts for the Phillies, and those are the numbers: 4-3, 466 earned run average. A guy fresh off the DL, 1-run lead, but when you get a 7.5 game lead in the standings, why not, says Charlie Manuel. Let's throw him into the fire, see what we got.
Lance Berkman has seen 2 breaking balls fail to come around for Myers, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. And Myers was in the rotation earlier this season. Chad Durbin warming up now for the Phillies. Fastball misses and hasn't thrown anything for a strike yet. It's 3 balls, no strikes. But it might take a while to get reacclimated.
And that's what I mean about him coming into this 1-run game on the road. He looks like he was a little hyped up, working awfully quickly.
4-pitch walk to Berkman. His second ball.
Pitcher talking for the Berkman is not all that unique.
Carlos Lee is 1 for 3. He's singled in the 3rd inning. Myers had a torn labrum in his hip, and that's an injury we've been seeing a lot this year. Some last year as well. Miguel Tejada's on deck. There's ball 1. There's Rodriguez among those who have had hip injuries requiring surgery. In 2007, Brett Myers was the closer for the Phillies, and he converted 21 of 24 save opportunities. It's 1-1. He made 48 appearances that year in relief. First round pick in '99 by the Phils. Leaves that pitch up and he falls behind 2-1.
And he's just rushing his delivery right now. And when you rush, you tend to leave the ball up. And that could be very dangerous with El Caballo up there. Got a good curveball, but if he hangs it.
It's 2-2. Myers was in double figures in wins from 03 through 06 before turning to relief work. He was the opening day starter in 07, but then moved into the pen after only 3 starts. Last year again the opening day starter. He made 30 starts last season. Started 1 game in each round of the playoffs. To right field, Worth. 1 out. Miguel Tejada follows. He's 1 for 3. The Astros have had only 1 hit since the 3rd inning. Scott Air, the lefty's working for the Phillies now.
The guys had the best at bats tonight. Obviously, is on deck. Hunter Pence, 3 good ABs tonight. Home run his first time up. RBI single next time up, and then last time he hit a line drive to right field. All those coming out the starter, Joe Blanton.
Tejada looks at it. It's ball 1.
Maybe 5 out of 9 with a home run against Brett Myers in his career.
They're going. The throw is high. Out. Lance Berkman called out at second base, attempting to steal for out number 2.
Now Myers working quickly, not really paying a lot of attention to Lance. Lance thought he could sneak one on, and I thought he was going to get it. He didn't have a real big lead. He tries to slide to that back corner, gets a little bit stuck there as he goes head first. Cairo, ooh, I don't know if he got him or not. A little bit of a sweep tag. It looked like he may have come up empty with that tag. Lance rolling out of the way to avoid it. Didn't really argue the call, so he might have just brushed it. And he might have got that shoulder, the left shoulder.
And that's 2 outs, and it's a 2-1 count. Tejada swings at the breaking pitch, 2-2. Tejada has excellent numbers against Myers, a .556 average, 1 homer, 2 runs batted in. Ruiz made the throw. Now he's out to talk with the hurler. Tejada 5 hits and 9 at bats, including a couple of doubles off Myers. Danley, the second base umpire, looked in to make that call. He might have been blocked a little bit by Cairo. Tejada lines one to left. Acuña's down on a knee to grab it. And in the 8th inning, no runs, no hits, nobody left. 4-3 Phillies after 8. Maybe some of those folks in the background. You'll hear Cecil Cooper's press conference. You'll get highlights from the final score, and you get a preview of Bud Norris's start tomorrow against Cole Hamels. All coming up on Astros Live after the game. Now the 9th inning, 4-3 Phillies. It's the Astros closer Jose Valverde coming in. He'll be pitcher number 5 for Houston.
Troy Hawkins right now on the hook in this one as the Astros trail 4-3. Jose has not pitched in a few days, so he gets a chance to go out there and toe the slab. And he too has to deal with the top of the Philly order now. 7 men to the plate in the 8th inning. Jose 2-2 with 20 saves.
Shane Victorino gets it started. He's 0 for 4. Running up on that one and taking ball 1 high. Hawkins in 1 inning allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, and 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Jason Worth is on deck. Jimmy Rollins due up 3rd. Valverde got save number 20 on Monday at Chicago. The Astros won that one 5-3. He worked a hitless inning. Has 10 straight scoreless outings. All back, and it's a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Brad Lidge warming up now for the Phillies. Valverde had a good strikeout game in Chicago on Monday. Striking out 2 of the 3. His ERA 1.29 and 33 appearances off the DL.
had good life on the fastball. He's been more efficient of late, throwing more fastballs. His last 2 appearances, one in Arizona, one in Chicago. He got 6 outs using just 17 pitches.
Pence, Blum, and Coast due up in the bottom of the ninth. Foul off the top of the screen, then it pops up in the air and goes back into the seats. Still 1-2 to Victorino, so it'll be apparently Brad Lidge coming in to face the Astros in the bottom of the ninth inning. Red Myers getting 3 outs in the 8th. Chan-Ho Park got 3 outs in the 7th inning.
Stay alive mode now. Catch up on the wild card race. The Rockies lead the Diamondbacks 2-1. Rockies batting bottom of the 5th. Brandon Allen from Montgomery High School went deep for Arizona, his 3rd. Gonzalez number 10 for the Rockies. The Marlins over the Nationals 8-4. Washington batting bottom of the 7th.
Line to right. Hunter Pence moves over and in. Whoa.
Wow, and Light's got that one too. You either have light issues tonight or these baseballs have something funky going on.
Yeah.
Behaving strangely as they fly through the air. I'm guessing lights. That's the late reaction here. Yeah. Just at the last, it gets hung up in those lights.
There's a bank of lights.
Reds lead the Braves 3-1 in the 9th. Joey Votto went deep. This is in that wild card race. Anybody else?
Not really.
Oh, Giants. Giants beat the Brewers 3-2. Kane beat Gallardo. Brownie gave you that one earlier. American League, the Rays are locked up 6-6 with the Tigers in the 8th. I gave you Rangers, Orioles earlier. Orioles beat them 5-4. White Sox beat the Red Sox 5-1. So no change. Rangers remain 2 games behind the Red Sox. And Rays trying to hang in there.
Rays need a win in the worst way. They were 6 back of Boston when the night began. In the air, Lance Berkman calling on the right side of the infield. 2 out for Valverde. Jimmy Rollins, who got that go-ahead rally started with a single in the 8th inning, is 1 for 4. The Angels in Kansas City tied 1-1. They have played 9 in Kansas City.
Now, people will second guess Lance for trying to steal that base last inning, but I like the play. I like trying to get that bag there. Myers, over the years, has been fairly easy to run on. I think it was worth a shot to go for it.
It looked like he had it, but as you pointed out, the slide seemed to slow him down. Rollins back. Ball 1, moving him back away from the plate.
Needs to put a little Vaseline on his jersey top so when he slides, he skids a little better. Grease it up.
Hanley Ramirez hit his 20th tonight for Florida, 8-4. The Fish lead at Washington at the end of 7. He got into it with his teammate Dan Uggla recently. Fly ball, Hunter Pence back in right field for this deep drive by Rollins. And right there in front of the wall, it's out number 3. Now, 4-3 Phillies. Brad Lidge coming in. Bottom of the 9th. Pence, Blum, and Coast due up. Astros baseball on Fox Sports Houston is brought to you by the Ford F-150, by the Progressive Insurance Group, and by Bud Light. Come from behind, Phillies lead the Astros 4-3. Houston had a 3-0 lead going to the 7th inning. Eric Bruntlett, the former Astro, checks into right field for Philadelphia, replacing Jason Worth. Jason Worth has actually moved to center field. And here is former Astro Brad Lidge. He's 0-6 with 28 saves.
Rocky year for Brad Lidge, but despite that, the Phillies in comfortable position in first place in their division, and barring an absolute collapse, headed to the postseason yet again. So an opportunity for redemption for Brad to turn around this rough season. The irony, though, of course, is he was perfect in save situations last year. We've seen Brad in similar straits in his time here in Houston. One great year, struggling the next. Seems to be the nature of the beast with short relief. He's obviously seen the highs and lows of it.
He's pitched only once in his career against the Astros and got a save here in a 7-5 Phillies win, May 22nd of last year. Hunter Pence leads it off. He has a 2-run homer and an RBI single in 3 trips. Strike on the slider. He also hit the ball well, lining out to right field in the 6th inning. Jeff Blum on deck. Chris Costu up third. Cecil Cooper has used his only left-handed pinch hitter, Darren Erstad, in the 7th inning. It's 1-1. Lidge is 9th in saves in the National League with 28. But he has 9 blown saves. That's a high figure. It's 1-2 as he snaps off a slider.
That's the key for Brad, the ability to throw the slider in the strike zone and get enough movement, get enough depth on it where he doesn't get centered up, because when he throws it down and away, it's a devastating pitch, but it's typically out of the zone when it's down there. If you can throw it in the strike zone once, you can convince the hitters that you have that ability and they're more likely to offer at it. So Brad Lidge in the game, former Astro Eric Bruntlett also in there for defense, and he made a little history not long ago. Unassisted triple play to close out a game against the Mets. 1, 2, 3. The catch, step on the bag, apply the tag. Just as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Jeff Blum. Big strike one. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Phillies trying for their 42nd win on the road. Ball fouled away. That makes it 0-2.
Brad pitched once here last year for the Phillies. But it still has to feel awfully strange for him to come running out of that visiting bullpen here in this ballpark.
He was signing autographs out by the street yesterday before the game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That part probably felt familiar to him. But instead of driving his car in the parking garage, he had been dropped off, probably by a taxi, and was accommodating the fans just outside the ballpark. Upstairs, the ball 2. When Lidge was with the Astros, he pitched in 378 games from 02 through 07, 123 saves. Now it's 3-2 to Blum. It's the Astros' first-round draft choice in '98 from Notre Dame. And the slider produces a check swing call by the third base umpire on appeal. Chad Fairchild rules no swing, and it's ball 4. Tough pitch to lay off, but Blum was able to do that. Now he'll leave for a pinch runner, Edwin Masonette.
We're talking about Brad's slider and how when it's down, it's usually out of the zone. And Obviously, it's easy to say, hey, you got to lay out that pitch, but when the guy also has a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, you have to get the bat started. And stopping it sometimes is a challenge. It's the 30th walk Brad has issued this year. He's worked 50 innings.
Jason Michaels on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher Valverde.
He's allowed 11 home runs this year. Big number.
Chris Coast with a line drive into left center field. Mason at the second, and Coast keeps the rally going. First and second, one out for the pinch hitter Jason Michaels now. The Astros try to come back in the bottom of the ninth.
Looking at the former Astro, giving up a hit to the former Philly, about to face another former Philly.
It's Jason Michaels. 233 batting average, 4 homers, 15 runs batted in. He's had 120 at-bats. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, comes out. Wesley Wright warming up for Houston. Michaels with 11 pinch hits and 47 at-bats, the exact same numbers for Darren Erstad until he batted in the 7th inning tonight. Michaels had a very good month of August. A high percentage of his hits this year have been for extra bases.
Masonette's already run. Kevin's not available because of the back. We'd love to be able to run for Chris Coast here, but you don't really have a whole lot of speed available on the bench. Upgrade a little bit. And you could run Boone, you could run Tolles.
Yeah. Michaels was a 4th round pick of the Phillies in '98, the year Lidge was drafted by the Astros in the 1st round. Ball one to J. Mike from Tampa. And the University of Miami. 2 men on. Masonette and Coast with 1 out. Michaels played for the Phillies from 01 through 05. This one stays in front of Ruiz.
Huge if I kick away.
Yes, it will.
Phillies do not play no doubles in the outfield here. Even though a double might end the ball game, the reason why they don't is because they got the closer on the mound trying to protect a 1-run lead. You defend that you've got the lead. You're not so much worried about that man on first. You're doing everything you can to win the ball game right now.
Now it's 3-0 to Michael.
It would be something if it came down to Lidge and Bourne.
Yes. They were traded for each other. Lidge retired Lance Berkman for the final out here last year when he got his save against the Astros. Ball 4 loads the bases. And the fans are up. The bases loaded and 1 out for Michael Bourne.
Oh, this is good theater.
Bourne is 2 for 4 tonight.
Fans are up. They are into it. Chance for a come from behind win. Now J.R. Tolles will come out to run for Chris Coast.
Tolles just arrived last night, driving from Round Rock to Houston as the September call-up of the night last night. There probably will be more after Monday. No Coast with the big hit. Now leaves for the pinch runner, and it's Bourne. Infielders have moved in. And with Bourne, they really can't plan on a double play. Grounded, and here's Howard coming home for the force play. No double play throw for Ruiz. 2 outs. Tolles at third base. Michaels at second.
Infield in, a little chopper for Howard, who charges. Good throw homeward. Bourne flying down the line. No chance to get the double play. Instead of making an ill-advised throw, Ruiz just hangs on. Dave Clark chatting with J.R. Tolles down there, and I imagine the first thing he said, hey, good secondary lead. Be ready for ball in the dirt. And slider in the dirt. Tough to control sometimes for a catcher.
That's a thought. With Matsui batting, bases loaded, 2 outs. Matsui's 0 for 4. Both moving over in center. And sliders high. Worth took several steps over from right center to just to left center. Right before that pitch was being thrown. The Phillies have lost 7 games this year when they've led after 8 innings.
All that obviously because of the struggles of that man right there. Jason Michaels is getting a huge secondary lead out there off second base. Lidge working from the full windup gives him freedom to take a very aggressive lead, so he should be able to score on any base hit. One thing he has to be careful of is one of those middle infielders try to sneak in behind him on a pickoff after the pitch. They're going to try to hold their ground defensively. They don't want to open up any holes.
Matsui is 3 for 4 with the bases loaded this year. That's Berkman on deck. Now it's 3-1.
Interesting to see that look on Lance Berkman's face, because obviously he wants to win the ball game, but he knows that the struggles that Lidge has been through, and they're good buddies.
Line into right center field. Toll scores. Here's Michaels, and the Astros claim it in the bottom of the 9th inning. Kazuo Matsui now 4 for 5 with the bases loaded. Wins it for the Astros, rifling a 3-1 pitch for a 2-run single, and it's 5-4 Houston.
Fun ball game. Early lead disappears, and then come and win it in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Great drama as the Astros' former closer Lidge is on the mound. Matsui comes through with a huge swing of the bat.
Both clubs scoring late. The Phillies got 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th to grab the lead. The Astros come up in their final at bat and win it. A walk-off hit for Kazuo Matsui. He's our Texaco star performer of the game.
Lidge fell behind in the count, felt like he had to challenge. Matsui knew as soon as he laid wood on him. And he had himself a game winner. We talked previously about the lead. Jason Michaels was getting out there at second base, so there's going to be no chance at all to make a play on him. Dogpile.
Tolles the pinch runner, and Michaels, who reached as the pinch hitter with that walk, score, and the Astros win it to take the first 2 of this series. It's their 12th win in their final at bat. After they lost a 3-0 lead, they go crazy at home plate. And let's now join Greg Lucas on the field.
Thanks a lot. We have the man, Kazuo Matsui, and Yoshi, who's going to help us converse about this one. First of all, that was an outstanding at-bat. You really worked Lidge.
打席に関してなんですけども、とても素晴らしかったんですけども、あれは。甘い球が来たらね、積極的に行こうと思ってたんで。Well, I mean, I was trying to be aggressive. If I can hit the ball, then I was always like try to be aggressive about that.
It was especially important because Bourne had swung at the first pitch with the bases loaded, and it was important for Cass to see some pitches, and that's what worked.
でマイケル・ボーンが、1球目で打ってそれでアウトになってしまって、それで松井さんの時も満塁で、それでたくさんボールを見るっていうことが大切かなと思ったんですけれども、それでこんな結果になってやっぱりとてもすごかったなと思うんですけれども。でもね、これ以上ない結果よね。 Well, it was a wonderful result that I expected.
Yeah, well, he's been very, very good with the bases loaded. Is there a reason why this year?
満塁の時にすごく成績がいいみたいですけれども、何か理由とかあったりするんですか？
そういう意識は全くないよね。
No, I didn't notice about that.
Well, you have, Ben, and this was a big one. Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you again,
Thank you.
Yoshi. Thank you both, and now let's send it back.
What a ball game. Greg Lucas just talked with the guy who won it, and there were many, many big hits along the way as the Phillies took the lead after the Astros led 3-0. But the final score is Houston 5, Philadelphia 4. We'll have plenty more on Astros Live presented by MD Anderson Cancer Center coming up next.